What's up, guys? We're back with another episode this week. We got a real special guest for you. We're going to do predictions for week one, the upcoming matchups. We're going to talk about position by position for each matchup, go through, and we're going to decide together who we think are going to win these matchups. So, my guest today, he's calling all the way from Austin, Texas. He's a football fanatic, former football player, just all-around sports guy. So please welcome my friend Gray Sentell. Gray, how you doing?
Hey guys, how y'all doing? Good friends with Jason. Met him last year out in Philly. Unfortunately, I transferred, so our bond was broken. But here we are, calling 1,000 miles away, still getting after it, talking football.
That's true friendship. That's true friendship if I've ever seen it. All right, so the first matchup we're going to get into this week is Team Connor. I believe his team name is Mahomes Boys versus Smitty's Boys, Uncle Jeremy. So let's break it down position by position here, Gray.
Okay.
For Mahomes Boys, we have Deshaun Watson versus New England, and we have Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers versus Chicago. So break those two down.
So firstly, Aaron Rodgers is coming back, and he's got to play Chicago. And people have been talking like Chicago's going to be the real talent defense this year, and that was before they acquired Khalil Mack. And the Packers' O-line has kind of been on and off the past couple years, and Aaron Rodgers had some injuries as well. So it's going to be nice to see how they do coming out week one against probably the best defense in their division. But Aaron Rodgers, as we know, is a very elite quarterback. He comes out every Sunday, does what he needs to do, and 95% of the time he does perform. And then you said Deshaun Watson against the Pats?
Yes.
Okay, Deshaun Watson injured again he was injured last year, and this is his second year going on, but he had a really good rookie showing from what everyone could see before his injury. But I for sure have Aaron Rodgers on this one.
Aaron Rodgers. I have Aaron Rodgers as well. I mean, guy missed the whole season last year. He's starting week one, Sunday night primetime game against a big division rival. I don't see Aaron Rodgers losing this game. I think he's going to come out with a vengeance. I know Watson's coming back from injury, but they're playing the Patriots, team that's angry. Team lost the Super Bowl, obviously. Heartbreaking loss for them. I think Patriots and Tom Brady are going to come out slinging, and I see Aaron Rodgers putting up a better game than Deshaun Watson. Next up, we're getting into the running backs here. The RB1s for both teams. We have, for Mahomes Boys, we have Ezekiel Elliott matched up against the Carolina Panthers. And for Smitty's guys, we got Christian McCaffrey matched up against the Dallas Cowboys. So these two running backs are going to be going head-to-head week one. What do you think?
So I actually have a really good stat for this game. So when Zeke has over 130 rushing yards, the Cowboys are 7-0. But like we both know, the Cowboys lost two of their best offensive linemen on that stacked offensive line to begin with.
They did.
And also, the Panthers have only allowed 130 yards or over rushing performances in their past 32 games or so. So the past two seasons, and that's one of the lowest out of any of the teams in the NFL. So I don't know how Zeke is particularly going to do in this one, especially just coming back. He didn't have a full year last year. He didn't play any of the preseason games. So I don't know if this is going to be a warm-up for him maybe, because he just hasn't really been able to perform yet this season like most of the guys have in the preseason. And then what was the other matchup?
Christian McCaffrey versus the Cowboys.
And then I am riding high on Christian McCaffrey this year.
Yes.
I think he could bust out Todd Gurley-like numbers, Alvin Kamara-like numbers this year. And maybe even make a run for Offensive Player of the Year if things go correct.
Wow.
Because he showed a lot to me last season. I didn't know if he was going to be able to play the versatile card like he did in college. I wasn't sure how that was going to work in the NFL for him. But he can catch off the slot. He's a really good route runner. And he's a great electric guy to have on the field at any time. So, honestly, I'm going to take McCaffrey on this one.
McCaffrey, me as well. I don't know if I mentioned to you this before, but our league is PPR. I think I mentioned that to you, but just to be sure, yeah, it is a PPR league, and I'm right with you. I think Dallas has a horrible defense. and they have virtually zero passing game. So they're going to be relying heavy on the run, and I think Carolina's going to stack the box with those ridiculous front seven, and I think they're going to stuff it. And I think McCaffrey is going to have a great game en route to a great season. Love the guy since Stanford. He's a stud waiting to break out. Next matchup, running backs, Kareem Hunt versus the LA Chargers versus Derrick Henry versus the Miami Dolphins.
This is a tight one to me, honestly. But because the Titans did just pick up Dion Lewis.
They did.
So I don't know how they're going to split it with Derrick Henry. I haven't watched too much of them in the preseason. I haven't heard much coming from them based on who they're going to run more, if they're going to split it up, if they're not going to. But the Chargers do have a scary good defense as well. But it kind of depends to me on how Mahomes is going to do against that Chargers secondary. But I'm still going to take Kareem Hunt. He proved last year that he can do everything that a running back needs to do in the NFL to put up great numbers.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I like Kareem Hunt. I think he was a little bit overrated last year because I think what was the stat from weeks 4 through 14 he didn't record a rushing touchdown. So I don't think he is the guy that a lot of people think he is. But I do think in this week, especially like you said with Derrick Henry, not really knowing where he's going to stand, splitting carries with Dion Lewis. Although I do think he'll be the featured back. I think Hunt has the easier week, especially with Mahomes playing in his one of his first games. I think they're going to ease him into it. They're going to rely on Kareem Hunt to carry the load in this one. Next up, we got the running back / receivers for both teams. We have Golden Tate versus the New York Jets, going up against Devin Funchess versus the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, Golden Tate to me is kind of an on and off player. He can produce stats like some of the best wide receivers in the games, and then he has his off days. So I'm not really sure how they'll perform. The Jets don't particularly have a great defense either, but I'm not sure how the Lions are going to look this year.
Right.
And then on the other side, you said Funchess was playing who?
The Cowboys.
Once again, same thing. Cowboys don't really have much of a good defense either, but I like Cam Newton in this one, so I'm going to take Funchess.
I'm gonna go against you there. I like Golden Tate. He's not a great player. I'm not a huge fan of him, but I think he catches a lot of passes. They throw a lot of screens, little bubble screens, little 5-yard curls, anything to get him the ball.
He's a fast guy.
Yeah,
he's
get
more
him
of a possession guy.
Get him the ball, get him in space, and PPR. Even if you only have 50 yards receiving, he'll get it with 10 or so catches, which I think helps him. Whereas Funchess is a guy I never really been sold on him, and without really a second option, I like Golden Tate, especially going against the Jets. Next up, we've got Tyreek Hill versus the Chargers, going up against Jarvis Landry, going against the Steelers.
All right. Well, we all know Tyreek Hill, another electrifying young guy. Kind of the same player as McCaffrey. He's just got that breakout speed. He's always a surefire to catch the ball, and he can kind of do everything all over the field as well. And then Jarvis Landry is another possession guy to me. So he's going to get those small catches and everything, but that's what people see him as now. But I think he's going to prove himself this year that he can step up and really be that number one receiver and do more than just catch the ball, because he's had the most. I'm pretty sure he broke the record for most catches in a certain number of years of a player's career. So, I mean, this guy can catch the ball and he can ball out. He just doesn't get the yards like a lot of other receivers do. So I'm still going to take Tyreek Hill in this one.
I'm going to go Landry just because I think the Chargers need a good year. They've got the defense, and I think they're going to be relying so much on their defense that I think Tyreek Hill will have a decent game, but I picture Tyrod Taylor or Baker Mayfield, whoever it may be, feeding Jarvis Landry a lot, feeding him early and often, especially against the rival. The Steelers a rival? No, they're not. Yeah, kinda. A divisional matchup against the Steelers. I see Jarvis Landry getting the ball a lot, and I think he edges out Tyreek Hill this week. The last receiver matchup we have is Josh Gordon against the Steelers, going up against Sterling Shepard against the Jags.
Okay, so this one is an easy one for me. Sterling Shepard is going against the Jags. I mean, the only way he could win this one to me, because OBJ, of course, is going to get matched up against Ramsey.
Yeah.
So he's not going to have to deal with Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
But he still has to deal with the rest of the Jacksonville defense. And they're, in my opinion, they are the number one defense in the league, and that's the reason they got so deep in the playoffs with their awful quarterback.
He sucks.
Running the But there is an X factor because Josh Gordon hasn't played much, like everyone knows, in the past 3 or 4 years. But I'm still going to take Josh Gordon in this one. I just don't think the Giants have enough firepower to open up Sterling's game against that Jacksonville defense.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. As of recording this, I'm not quite sure of Josh Gordon's health status for Week 1. I think he's going to play, but I'm not positive. And yeah, if he does, I'm taking him over Shepard just based on Shepard's matchup. That's a tough one against the Jaguars, especially with that offensive line that the Giants have being so bad. I think Eli Manning is going to have no time to throw. He's going to be on his back a lot, trying to get rid of it quick, and the balls just aren't going to be there for Sterling Shepard to catch. So I'm with you on Josh Gordon. Tight ends next. We have Evan Engram versus the Jags going up against Travis Kelce of the Chargers.
Who's Evan Engram going against?
The Jags.
Once again, same thing as Sterling Shepard. They're going against that Jacksonville defense. He's also compared to Travis Kelce. He's just not at that level when it comes to being a tight end. Travis Kelce is another guy that has proven himself at his position. He can do what a lot of other guys can't. He's there for catches, touchdowns, even running with the ball as well. So I'm going to take Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I'm going to take Travis Kelce as well. In our first episode, I put a lot of hate on Evan Engram. I hate him. I don't like him at all. I think he sucks. And I hate his place in the Giants offense. So,
I'm with you on this one. I don't like him either.
I think the guy sucks. So yeah, I'm taking Travis Kelce in this one. The next matchup then, which is for everybody watching, this is Team Short versus Team Updog. Quarterbacks. We got Tom Brady against the Texans going up against Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy G versus the Vikings. What you got?
Who are the Pats playing?
The Texans.
All right, so for this one, I'm actually going to go with the upset pick here. I'm going to go with Jimmy G in this one.
Wow.
Tom Brady, I feel like his downfall is coming. I honestly think it may be this year. And they have a tough matchup. They got J.J. Watt and Clowney back now. I think both guys are going to be coming off the edge after that beaten up offensive line. They lost 2 of their starters from last year. Nate Solder, who's been a guy that was on their team for a while at left tackle. He's not going to be there to have Brady's back. So I think the D-line of the Texans is going to be the reason I'm picking Jimmy G here. Jimmy G was also 7-0 last year when he started. I don't know if it was a bunch of hoo-ha because they weren't playing the best teams. I think this Vikings team is going to be easily the best team he's played yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still riding high on Jimmy G after last season's performance, so I'm going to say Jimmy G.
I agree with a lot of the things you said. I like Jimmy G. I think he's the real deal, and I think Tom Brady's time is coming. But I'm gonna have to pick Brady this week just because of how good that Vikings defense is. The last time we saw them, they were getting absolutely spanked by the Eagles, 38-7, and an embarrassing NFC Championship loss. So I think they're coming with fury. They're coming to prove that they're not a joke on defense, that their defense is just as legit as ever. So I'm going to go with Tom Brady, but a little message to Tom Brady. If you're watching, Tom, your downfall is coming. Alex Guerrero cannot save you forever.
Your son.
Guerrero
We're
can't
tired of
save
seeing
you.
it. We don't like that.
We don't like the kissing of the sons. That was weird. It was creepy. It made everyone feel weird watching.
Keep it private.
Yeah.
Look at your wife. Go kiss her.
All right, next up, running backs. We got Saquon making his debut against the Jags versus Dalvin Cook making his return versus the Vikings. Or the 49ers, I'm sorry.
All right. Well, this is going to be a huge debut for Saquon because he is playing a great front seven, just a great overall defense.
A lot of hype.
And then Dalvin, who are they playing?
The 49ers.
Dalvin is also going against the 49ers are mediocre on defense. I think their secondary is a little better. But Dalvin is coming off of an injury, and I think Saquon really wants to show that he is the real deal. I would say this would be a really tight one, but I'm just going to give the edge to Saquon.
I'm going to give the edge here to Dalvin Cook. I think the Saquon hype, I think he's going to have a good rookie year, but I think Jacksonville is sick of hearing about how good Saquon is going to be. I think they're tired of it. I think Jalen Ramsey's been firing him up all offseason, getting him ready for this game. I think they're going to come out with one goal in mind, which is to shut down Saquon Barkley, ruin his coming out party, and just kick the Giants' ass, really. So I'm going Dalvin Cook here, even though I don't think either of them will have great games in their matchups.
I don't either. I don't think Saquon's really going to show out either. I think he's just, in this matchup, he's barely going to squeak by, maybe with a touchdown more.
Next up, we got Kenyon Drake versus the Tennessee Titans up against Dion Lewis going against the Miami Dolphins. So,
I'm going to give the edge right off the back to Kenyon Drake. This is the same situation that we were talking about before with Derrick Henry and Dion Lewis. I just don't know if Dion Lewis is going to get as many touches. I actually really like Derrick Henry. I'm a big fan of most Alabama running backs as well. I think he's a very great runner, big. He's very fast for his size. I mean, he's honestly one of the biggest running backs in the league at the moment in terms of just height and how much the man weighs. But I think if Derrick Henry is doing well, and he's already been on the team, then they're going to keep running him. So I'm going to give it to Kenyon Drake.
I'm gonna go with you there. I don't really like Kenyon Drake too much, but like you said, and the point I brought up last week was that last season Derrick Henry forced DeMarco Murray into retirement with the way that he played. The guy was 2 or 3 years removed from being the league's leading rusher, and all of a sudden he's retiring because the new kid on the block was so good. So I think Dion Lewis will fall victim to that too. And I'm going to give a little edge to Kenyon Drake here, just like you did. Next up, we got Doug Baldwin playing against the Denver Broncos, matched up against Amari Cooper versus the Los Angeles Rams.
All right, so Amari Cooper is probably going to have a tough matchup this week going against Marcus Peters, the former Chief. But the Seahawks are playing the Broncos, and I think they're going to be garbage this year. They don't have their QB situation lined up, and the only thing they got going for them right now is their pass rushers. But this is a tough one for me, too, just because Amari Cooper's going to have the better guy on him. But I think Amari Cooper still is just, I don't want to say light years ahead in talent because he's not. Doug Baldwin is a good guy, but I just really believe he is the better overall receiver, and even against a better person covering him, he's still going to have the advantage in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Denver's really got nothing but their defense. That offense is just a joke. The Rams, they're stacked up on defense, but new scheme for Marcus Peters, and the ball's got to go somewhere for Derek Carr, and I think Cooper will have some at least benefit from that, and he'll make some catches. Another matchup where I don't see either guy putting up more than maybe 10 or 12 points.
Yeah, for sure.
Amari Cooper's my guy here. Next up, we got Juju Smith-Schuster against the Cleveland Browns versus Chris Hogan against the Houston Texans.
Personally, let me say I am not a fan of Juju as a person. Nothing he says is funny. I don't get why he gets all the laughs.
Mm-hmm.
The man he's really not funny to me. I hate his little Fortnite dances.
Mm-hmm.
Football. Stop it. Anyways, Juju's not going to have the top guy on him against the Browns, who would be Denzel Ward right now. Yeah. They have 4 new cornerbacks, and of course Denzel Ward is going to cover Antonio Brown. My bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think the same right there. Anyways, and Chris Hogan to me is a very streaky guy as well. I mean, he can perform, but I like the way Juju did play football last year. Outside of his little Twitter antics, he's a very good player. He's explosive as well. So I'm gonna give the edge to Juju on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on this one. I don't like Juju Smith-Schuster as a player, really, and as a person. I think he's more hype than he is talent. Although he does have talent, but I think his whole persona kind of outshines that and makes people think of him more than he actually is. But Chris Hogan, I like him a lot this year, especially with Julian Edelman suspended for the first 4 weeks. But Juju's got, like you said, the second Browns cornerback, which is really, I don't even know who it is, but
they have 4 new cornerbacks, so I couldn't even tell you. I know Denzel Ward, of course, but I couldn't tell you the names of the other guys.
I don't either. So I mean, Denzel Ward's gonna have his hands full covering Antonio Brown. I think they're gonna have to double Antonio Brown, or at least shade a safety that way most of the time, because they're not gonna leave Denzel Ward on an island in his first game with Antonio Brown. So I think Juju will find himself
open.
Open
up a lot for Juju as
well. Next matchup we have is Julio Jones against the reigning champion Philadelphia Eagles. Matched up against Antonio Brown of the against the Cleveland Browns.
I'm gonna give the edge to Julio Jones in this one. I really like him coming in this year. The Falcons weren't gonna pay him enough initially, but then they hit him with the big signing bonus, or not a big signing bonus, a new contract. And I really think he wants to stay on the Falcons team. And I think Matt Ryan just really needs to show out this year, because I'm tired of hearing that he's a good quarterback, but he never really performs to the way people talk about him.
Yeah.
But I love Julio Jones as a receiver, and I think a lot of the attention is going to be put on Antonio Brown this week. And I honestly like Denzel Ward as well. I think he may come out here and stun a lot of people with the way he handles Antonio Brown week 1.
Yeah, going back to your point about Matt Ryan, I think before Aaron Rodgers just restructured his contract or re-signed, Matt Ryan was previously, or at least at one time, he was the highest paid quarterback in NFL history, which is ridiculous, because I mean, how many breaks is this guy going to get? He doesn't have the pedigree. He doesn't really have the numbers. He doesn't have the wins.
They got the team around him too.
Exactly. They have the defense. They have Freeman, Julio Jones, Sanu. They have all the talent in the world around him. It's time for Matt Ryan to show up or shut up. And I think this is going to be the year that he might actually do it. And if he does, a big performance against the reigning champs, the team that eliminated them last year, is what he's going to need to kickstart that season. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to go Julio Jones with the edge in this one, but just slightly.
These guys, yeah, slightly for me as well. But side note, I really think the Falcons can be Super Bowl contenders if Matt Ryan shows up and performs the way he should, because he has the talent to do so.
Yeah, they have one of the best front sevens on defense. Those linebackers are maybe the best linebacking core in football. Now that Thomas Davis is suspended for I think half the season in Carolina, and the corners, they're all big hitters. They can cover. They're aggressive. So they have the defense. Like we said, they have the offense. Matt Ryan just needs to be the guy that they think he is, and I think they can go far this year. Finally, tight end matchup. Jimmy Graham against the Chicago Bears, going up against Jack Doyle versus the Cincinnati Bengals.
All right. So my boy Jack Doyle, he's better than a lot of people think. Let me tell you. And they got Andrew Luck back now too as well. The Bengals have a great defense, but it's mainly in their front seven, in my opinion.
Definitely.
So that may throw off Andrew Luck's game. As we know, he has a problem getting injured. O-line sucks. They've sucked for the past 4 years since he's been 4, 5, 6 years. I think it's 6 years now. This is 6th season since he's been drafted. But, I mean, if they can get that guy protected, I'm giving Doyle the edge. I just like him in this matchup against Jimmy Graham. And Jimmy Graham's been really quiet since those 2 breakout seasons he had.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Doyle.
Okay, side note for all you who do not know Gray, which is all of you, he is a Colts fan. So Jack Doyle is in fact his boy. For me, I'm gonna go Jimmy G, the other Jimmy G, Jimmy Graham. We brought up a stat on last week's episode about I forget the exact stat, but how bad tight ends have been under Aaron Rodgers. But my counterpoint to that was that he's never had a tight end as physically gifted or talented as Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham's a freak athlete. He's a great receiver. Seattle didn't use him nearly as well as he should have been used the way he was in New Orleans. And I think this might be his year where he starts to return to that guy we saw in New Orleans, the guy who was up there with Gronk and Aaron Hernandez as the top tight ends in the league at the time.
And I'm excited to see how he does now that Jordy Nelson is out as well. Because that's going to open up more throws for him coming towards Jimmy Graham, because he's got the size and he's got the athletic ability to get those balls over. He's always going to be the linebacker in coverage. Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And he has the height and the size to beat a lot of these corners and safeties as well. But I can't hold my boy Jack Doyle.
That's a true fan right there. Next team matchup we have is Just Bless 'em going up against the Marlton Mayhem. Quarterback battle. We have Jared Goff playing the Oakland Raiders, matched up against Russell Wilson against the Denver Broncos. Gray, what you got?
I got Jared Goff in this one. Mm-hmm. Russell Wilson still does not have an offensive line. I'm not the biggest fan of Russell Wilson either. Don't get me wrong, he's a great quarterback, but I just think he doesn't fit well with the Seahawks. And my bad, hold up.
You're good.
I don't think they have many other guys on the field that are going to help him out as well. And I'm a big Bradley Chubb fan as well. He's going to be starting out on the Broncos. People are still going to be eyed in on Von Miller just because of his rep in this league as a pass rusher. And that's going to help out Bradley Chubb on the other side going against the weaker offensive lineman. So I think that's really going to throw off Russell's game. And I think Jared is just going to step up to the next level this season as well. He's got a great team. They had momentum going last year, and they're a lot of people's Super Bowl's favorites. So Jared really just needs to step up this year and prove that he can take them all the way. So I'm taking Jared.
Yeah, I love Jared Goff. I'm all in on the guy. I think he's a stud. I think the Rams it's Super Bowl or bust year for the Rams. They have a dream team. They got that Madden fantasy draft team where you put your own team as the first pick in the draft, and then set it as a fixed draft so you get the first pick every round. That's pretty much what the Rams have as a team.
All over the field, not just one side of the ball.
Yeah, they're crazy, crazy talent all over. And I think Jared Goff is going to take that next step. I think he's going to be eased into it with Todd Gurley, with the amount of talent he has. And then with that defense, there's not as much pressure on Jared Goff to deliver, which I think will help him and will allow him to thrive and be the number one overall pick that he was. So yeah, Jared Goff for me on that one over Russell Wilson. Running backs, a pretty good matchup here. David Johnson versus the Redskins going up against Leonard Fournette against the Giants.
Ooh, this is a tough one.
Mm-hmm. Two studs.
Because I'm a big fan of both guys. I really am. I would still consider David Johnson a top 5 back in the league, even though he didn't play last season. I mean, the man can flat out ball. and he's just a great running back. And the Cardinals are going to rely on him as well. The Fournette, I think, has the harder battle when it comes to defenses as well, because the Giants actually have a great defensive line.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give the edge to David Johnson in this one, but this will be a close one, and they have potential to score a lot of points, both of them as well.
As much as it pains me, I have to agree. David Johnson, he ripped my heart out last season. Number 2 overall pick in the draft. Had so much hope. Had a great team around him, and then week 1, boom, that's it. That's not even what pissed me off so much. It was the fact that they lied to me. They told me he'd be back by week 8 or week 9, and then it was week 11, then it was week 14, and then he was shut down. So
just killed your team.
Yeah. Cardinals really played with my heart last year, but I'm an unbiased guy. You know me. So I forgive, but I don't forget. David Johnson has the edge this week against a pretty poopy Washington Redskins defense.
Very poopy.
Very poopy. Whereas, like you said, Leonard Fournette's got that Giants front 4, which is really nice, led by Damon Snacks Harrison, clogging up the middle.
Big old boy.
Yeah, big boy. One of the bigger boys in the league. I think it'll be tough running for Fournette, especially with Blake Bortles trying to run in the pass game. That's no help. Failing to throw the ball. That's zero help for Leonard Fournette. Next matchup, Melvin Gordon against the Chiefs and Jordan Howard versus the Packers.
Ooh, this is another good one.
Yeah.
So I like Melvin as well, but Jordan Howard had a really good year last year. But
You're good.
The Tariq Cohen, Jordan Howard has to split a few possessions with him. I'd say it's like a third compared to 2/3. Tariq comes in a lot of the times though when they are going to pass. But Jordan Howard is another guy that catch out of the backfield. But I love Melvin Gordon. He's a guy that keeps progressing every year. Fast guy. He's a lot bigger as well. Coming from the University of Wisconsin, producing great running backs. And I actually like the Chargers this year as well. I think they have a great team. Phillips just going to have to – if Phillips throwing the ball well and the defense is focused on the pass, then I would give it to Jordan Howard. Then I'm going to give it to Melvin Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
So I am going to give the edge to Melvin Gordon.
This is a tough one for me. I'll agree with you there. Melvin Gordon's never been a guy I've been too crazy about. The Chiefs have a so-so defense, especially now that their secondary is weaker. I think that it'll open up the passing game for Phillip Rivers, and I think Melvin Gordon, he's a guy who's never really put up a bunch of yards, but he scores a lot of touchdowns. Whereas Jordan Howard, he's like you say, he's going to lose a lot of touches, especially on the passing plays to Tariq Cohen. And like I said with Aaron Rodgers, the primetime game, division rivalry, I think the Packers are going to come out and stomp on the Bears.
I think the Packers are going to spin over the Bears. I really do. Aaron Rodgers is going to come out with fire too.
I think it's going to be a first quarter mercy rule.
You know where they're playing? Because if they're playing at Lambeau, it's for sure. It's over. It's a wrap.
It's at Green Bay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's over.
A lot of Lambeau leaps coming for Aaron Rodgers and the boys. Discount double checks left and right.
Discount double checks all over. The whole stadium's going to be getting them.
Every fan will be leaving that stadium with a big old discount double check. Next up, receiver matchup, we got Adam Thielen versus the 49ers going up against Mike Evans against the Saints.
Last year, Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore went at it. Same thing's going to happen this year. This is going to be, I don't know if y'all remember, caused a little sideline spat. Jameis was jumping in.
That was awesome.
But I'm going to give the edge to Adam Thielen. Mike Evans is going to have old man Ryan Fitzpatrick, who is mediocre. He's really not that good of a quarterback. He's kind of like a quarterback slut in the NFL. There's a couple of them that get tossed around by a couple teams. They get a little action, but no one's really loyal to him. That's what I call a quarterback slut. And I like Adam Thielen a lot. He had a breakout season last year. Him and Stephon Diggs are one of the best duos in the league. He isn't going to have to deal with Richard Sherman as well. Yeah. I think they're going to give that put him on Stephon Diggs. And Thielen's just a big-time player. He can catch those long balls. He's fast. He's lanky. So I'm going to give it to Thielen.
Yeah, this is the third or fourth time I've brought this up, the memories of last season. I don't think any team had a more heartbreaking end of their season than the New Orleans Saints. One of the most embarrassing losses probably in playoff history, and that was due to their mental mistakes by their secondary. I think Marshawn Lattimore is one of my favorite players in the NFL. I love the way he plays. I think he will have Mike Evans in his back pocket the entire game. I think Mike Evans will be stuck in that back pocket. I can even see Mike Evans getting ejected in the first quarter of that game. I think after a few physical encounters with Marshawn Lattimore and with Ryan Fitzpatrick slinging the ball back there, I think Saints defense will feast on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. So it's Adam Thielen for me there as well. Next matchup we got is Larry Fitzgerald going up against Marvin Jones Jr. Fitzgerald is playing the Redskins, and Marvin Jones is playing the Jets.
This is a close one as well, but I'm a big Larry Fitzgerald guy. He never really fails you. He goes out, he gets the job done. He's quiet about it. He's a very humble guy. Also, he's playing against that god-awful Redskins defense. So I'm going to give the edge to Fitz.
I'm going to go against you and give it to Marvin Jones Jr. Don't forget, Washington has Josh Norman back there. I know he sticks to one side, so I think Larry Fitzgerald will be moving around a lot. Josh Norman doesn't play like he did in Carolina, where he was stuck on the number one. I really don't know why they have him just stuck to one side of the field, so he won't be on him all the time. But Marvin Jones Jr., a lot of buzz has been coming out from the Lions camp about how they're going to turn him into a true number one instead of just a deep ball threat. He's going to be their number one guy, catching a lot of passes. I don't know if I'm sold on it yet, but I think they'll definitely try to prove that week one against the Jets, and so Marvin Jones has the edge for me.
Okay.
Next matchup of receivers, we have Devontae Adams against the Chicago Bears, Keenan Allen against the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm going to give this one to Devontae Adams based on what we've been saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's going to sprout this year because of their loss of Jordy Nelson. Aaron Rodgers is back as well. That's going to help them out. And the Bears rely more on their front seven when it comes to defense. So I'm going to give it to Devontae Adams.
Yeah, Devontae Adams. I've been riding high on the Packers week one this whole episode. I'm not going to change now. It's going to be a bloodbath. Devontae Adams is going to benefit. Last up, tight ends. We got Trey Burton against the Packers, going up against Greg Olsen versus the Cowboys.
I'm going to take Greg Olsen in this one. I really like him. He's an older guy, but he's been proving himself these past couple of years that he still has it and that he can do it. He can do it all. And I'm not really a big fan of Mitch Trubisky either. Don't get me wrong. He could have a great year this year. I'm just not too sure that he's going to do it. He does have the talent. It's just I don't see that killer instinct in his eyes like Jared Goff had, for example.
Yeah, Mitchell Trubisky is a bum. He always will be a bum. That's what guys coming out of North Carolina are. It's a bum, produces bum players in every sport.
Don't hate on Ryan Switzer.
I'll hate on Switzer all I want.
I like Ryan Switzer. The guy can ball.
I'll hate on any North Carolina college product because they're all scrubs, no matter what school, especially that other school in North Carolina. Just bums everywhere. So Greg Olsen, target machine for Cam Newton, favorite target, always has been, always will be. Greg Olsen gets the nod for me in this one. Next matchup we have is Team Danielevich going up against Baker's Dozen +1. Quarterback matchups. Cam Newton against the Dallas Cowboys versus Drew Brees against the Buccaneers.
I like Drew Brees in this one. I'm a little iffy on Cam Newton. he's had some up and down years after he had a good early years, but I think McCaffrey's kind of going to take away from his stats this year. Don't get me wrong, you can still throw to him, but I think they're going to be running the ball a lot more with him. And I like Drew Brees in this one just because he had a great season last year, and I don't see him stopping this year. He's getting a little older, but he hasn't shown many signs.
Yeah, Drew Brees for me. I think this game has potential to be the biggest blowout of the week, potentially going up against the Buccaneers without Jameis Winston. Drew Brees for me, one of my GOAT quarterbacks. I think he's top 3 all time. Doesn't get recognized for it. All he does is put up 5,000 plus yards every year, and I think that's no different. Another great campaign coming from Drew Brees, starting off with cruising to an easy divisional win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Drew Brees is my pick.
I think he's going to fill the stat sheet too. I don't see much hope for the Buccaneers defense in this one.
No, absolutely not. They're terrible.
And he always plays well against against the Bucs.
Yeah. Running backs, we got Todd Gurley the second up against the Oakland Raiders, a Monday night game, and then going up against Alvin Kamara against the same Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh man, this is probably the best matchup.
This might be the best matchup of the week.
I think it is. I'm gonna deem it best matchup actually.
You heard it here. Best matchup of the week.
Right in this moment, I'm doing it. But let me talk first, and then I'll surprise y'all at the end.
Ooh, excited.
Todd Gurley, I'm sure he's happy after reading through Twitter this week. He doesn't have to deal with Khalil Mack. He's not going to be bothering him. Sure, Khalil Mack's more of an edge guy, but he still gets all over the field. That's what makes him special.
Yeah.
He can stop the guys when they're running the ball. And then we got Alvin Kamara, the Bucs kind of have a front seven. They got Quan Alexander and Gerald McCoy.
Yeah.
Those are two guys who are around top 10 in their positions. If you want to argue it, you can, but that's what I believe. I like Quan Alexander a lot. I ride high on him. But I think Todd Gurley's going to show up prime time against the rivals and show why he won MVP last year.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on this one. As much as I love Kamara, as much as I think he's the future of the NFL at the running back position. The only reason I will give this one to Todd Gurley is because I think that the Saints will beat the Buccaneers so badly that Kamara will not have to play in the second half. At the least the fourth quarter, especially since they just signed Mike Gillespie. I think Gillespie will get a good amount of touches just because Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara will be sipping martinis on the sidelines by the third quarter because this game will be in no doubt. Next up, we got Jay Ajayi against the Falcons versus Devontae Freeman against the Eagles.
I'm not really a Jay Ajayi guy at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had a good year when he was on the Dolphins, and then the Eagles picked him up, and he just didn't produce like he was on the Dolphins. And who'd you say the other guy was?
Devontae Freeman against the Eagles.
Oh, and I love Devontae Freeman. I really do. He's a great running back. He's got the speed. He's got great vision, so I'm going to give it to him. Yeah,
Devontae Freeman, as good as the Eagles' front seven is, I think the Falcons is not far behind. I mean, obviously...
They lost Michael Kendricks, too, so that kind of does it for me.
Yeah, the Falcons I don't think are far behind, but I think Devontae Freeman's level of talent is so far above Jay Ajayi's that it kind of balances out. I've never been crazy about Jay Ajayi myself. Even when he was on the Dolphins, he had that big year. He's a guy who has huge games, but then doesn't do anything else. Like, he'll have 200 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, and then less than 100 for 6 straight weeks because he's not a consistency guy. He's a breakout guy. And I think they're going to be – I think the Falcons are coming for revenge. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. And while I don't think Freeman will outscore Ajayi by too much, I think it'll be enough to get him the edge. Next up, we got LaShawn McCoy versus the Baltimore Ravens, matched up against Allen Robinson against the Green Bay Packers.
You said Allen Robinson on the other side?
Yep.
Oh, so this is a flex?
Yeah.
I think the Bills are going to be the worst team in the league this year.
Really?
Firstly, Josh Allen is doo-doo.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan Peterman is doo-doo.
Oh, he is so bad.
A.J. McCarron is doo-doo. And I like Allen Robinson. I think he's going to have a good year this year, so I'm going to give this one to him. I think Shady McCoy is getting a little old as well. It's hard to keep up being a running back in this league. You take so many hits, and he just doesn't have anyone else on the team to help him out, really.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give this one to Allen Robinson.
I'm going to go with McCoy on this one. Like we've been talking about the Packers game. I don't see it. I think Mitchell Trubisky is going to be under fire from the jump. So I don't think there'll be much there for Robinson, especially in his first game off that ACL injury he had last year. Although McCoy, yeah, you're right. Their quarterback situation is pretty horrible. My dark horse prediction for this season is that the three quarterbacks on Buffalo's roster, Peterman, Josh Allen, and AJ McCarron, branch off and form their own white supremacist group in Buffalo. They're three of the whitest guys I've ever seen.
McCarron comes from Bama.
McCarron comes from Bama. Josh Allen, proven racist. And Nathan Peterman, with a name like that, he screams KKK. So I think that's something to watch this season. I think it'll be interesting. See them together on the sidelines. They're not talking football because none of them really know how to play it.
And I mean, AJ McCarron comes from Bama, first off.
Yeah.
Josh Allen went to school in Wyoming. Outside the guys on the team, you can't tell me there was any other black people walking around.
You can't.
No.
I mean, I've never been to Wyoming personally, but I've seen pictures. And I have never seen a black person in Wyoming that was not wearing a Wyoming football jersey or basketball jersey.
And I can't believe people actually live in Wyoming. I can't believe people say, hey, I want to move to Wyoming.
Yeah, a lot of real confusing state that one is. And then Nathan Peterman has proven himself to be one of the worst quarterbacks in ever, I think. I'm shocked he's not on the Browns.
I was going to add the ever, but you already did it for me. The man is a scrub.
I'm shocked he doesn't play for the Browns.
Kaepernick doesn't have a job, and he does.
Yeah, it's a mess. Nathan Peterman belongs in a Browns jersey. I think Hugh Jackson has been dying to get after this guy just because of how bad he is. But yeah, that quarterback situation, worst in the league, perhaps worse in football history. Those three guys. Let's move on though. Next up, we got Michael Thomas against the Buccaneers versus Brandon Cooks against the Oakland Raiders.
This is a good one right here.
It is.
Like we were saying, I think the Saints are going to slaughter them. So that gives Michael Thomas. He's gonna have a lot of yards and he'll probably have a touchdown.
Oh yeah.
But I like Brandon Cooks as a player. I really do. I think he's electric. He's got the deep ball ability. He's got the speed behind him. Goff is a great quarterback as well. But I'm gonna give it to Michael Thomas just because I think they're just gonna spank him. They're gonna bend him over, put him over their knees, maybe give him a little drink of milk. But they're just gonna start smacking and they're not gonna stop.
Yeah. Michael Thomas for me too, just because we've been going on about this. We're talking old school Genghis Khan raiding a village of like cripples. It is just an absolute evisceration is going to go down this week. I would bet my life on that. So Michael Thomas for both of us there. Last wide receiver matchup, we have Sammy Watkins against the LA Chargers going against Stephon Diggs against the 49ers.
Ooh, this is a good one as well. For me, in this situation, I would say Diggs. Just picking the players for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know because I think Richard Sherman's probably going to cover Diggs.
Yeah, I think he'll be matched up against Sherman most of the game, if not all the whole time.
Actually, no, I'm taking Diggs still. I love Diggs.
I do love Diggs. He's one of the most underrated receivers in all of football. just based on his production, um, his catches, yards. Sammy Watkins, I think he's a guy that's had a ton of talent. He's never really done much with that talent. Uh, Going to KC though, I think it'll be really interesting. I want to see how that kind of works out with him and Tyreek Hill both being speedsters, down the field guys. I kind of want to see how they work that offense because I don't think either of them are too talented as just a route runner or just a plain old receiver. I think they're more just X factor, explosive guys. So we'll see there. But yeah, I'm gonna go with my boy Stephon Diggs on this one.
They got Kirk now too.
They
so
do have Kirk.
Kirk can ball out when he wants to.
He's a player. He's not worth the money he gets paid, but he's a player.
No, but I think he could get to that level if he got his head on straight and really had the confidence that some of these quarterbacks have, because that's one of the key things you do need when you're a quarterback. You just need confidence, and I think he gets a lot of hate. And personally, I think that affects his game a little. Mm-hmm. But he's got a fresh start here with the Vikings. He's got a great team behind him, a lot better than Washington for sure.
Oh yeah.
He's got the wide receiver core, and he's got Kyle Rudolph too. I like Kyle Rudolph.
Speaking of Kyle Rudolph, next tight end matchup. Zach Ertz against the Falcons against Kyle Rudolph against the 49ers again.
I like Zach Ertz a lot. Yeah. I think he is the best receiver on the Eagles. Mm-hmm. Just catching the ball, I think he is the best. So I'm gonna go with Zach Ertz on this one. I just think the Vikings have, since they have Stephon Diggs and now the emerging Adam Thielen, he's not going to get as much action this season. They're just going to keep throwing to those guys even more just because the way they produced last year. It's their bread and butter. That's how they win.
Yeah, Zertz is a star. He doesn't drop anything thrown within, like, anywhere near him. His catch radius is crazy. Great hands. The only thing that kind of worries me about that matchup is how good the Falcons' linebackers are. Usually a tight end on a linebacker is favorable to the tight end, but the way
they got some athletic guys.
They do. They have some kind of hybrid linebackers that you'll see a lot move back into safety with, what is it, Deion Jones?
Yeah.
What's the other one's name? I forget the other one's name. But they're all kind of that prototype or archetype of linebacker where they're built for covering, they're built for speed. So I think that'll be a tough matchup for Ertz, or tougher than it usually would be, but I still give the edge to Ertz. Just because, like you said, with Thielen, Diggs, Dalvin Cook, Kyle Rudolph's more of just going to be a red zone threat, and that's not going to produce the numbers it's going to take to beat Zach Ertz. The final game we have, it was decided as the league's game of the week. The defending champion going against former two-time league champion. So big game here, bragging rights. Let's break it down. Quarterback Andrew Luck, your boy, versus the Cincinnati Bengals against Phillip Rivers against the Kansas City Chiefs.
No questions asked here, okay? I'm taking Luck and my boy Doyle. Luck is going to have a great year this year. He's going to show people why he's a top-tier quarterback. The man has straight-up talent. He does. And if the Colts can get right, they picked up the center from Notre Dame this year. That's going to help him out a lot. And I just think he's the better overall player in this one. Phillip Rivers is getting a little old as well. But I'm going to take Andrew Luck for sure. He played good this preseason, too. He's shown that he still has that arm strength, and the surgery didn't kick him down at all.
Yeah, I think there's not many guys who really need a great season more than Andrew Luck. Not for purposes of how he's viewed, but I think just for himself to prove that he's still that guy. There's been so much hype on him. He's the heir to Peyton Manning's throne. That the place that Peyton built, the house that Peyton built, Lucas Oil Stadium. Andrew Luck came in there with all the expectations in the world, and after an amazing first couple years due to injuries and lack of talent around him, I think he's struggled. But I do think he's going to need a big year this year. Since
Indy's been missing out on the playoffs too, so
yeah, they're not used to that.
They need a playoff run this year, and now with the Jags, they're a lot better than they were in the past.
Mm-hmm.
The Titans aren't the same as well. They're starting to get better as well. If Mariota has a good year, that's going to be some competition for them.
Yeah.
So he's really going to have a good season, but I believe he has the confidence and the ability to do so.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think I'm going to be looking forward to seeing Andrew Luck be that guy that we saw him play as in his rookie year, his sophomore year, and flashes of the past couple of years.
The guy's weak. I don't like that about him. He's a nerd to me.
He is a geeky guy.
I don't like when he talks. Really, I like the way he plays football. I do.
Definitely not.
When it comes to post-game interviews, I stay away from Andrew Luck, even as a fan.
Yeah, the dude is built like a Spartan warrior, but he talks like a mathematician.
Like he's Albert Einstein's
he's got
long-lost grandson.
Just a lot with a much more grizzly man beard. Running backs, this one is one of the most lopsided matchups, I think, that you're going to see. You got Joe Mixon against the Colts, going up against Le'Veon Bell against the Cleveland Browns.
Honestly, I'm going to come out and say it's not as lopsided as you think.
Wow.
I'm a big Joe Mixon guy.
Wow. I hate him. I hate the guy.
I know a lot of people don't like him. Okay.
He's a woman beater. We don't like that.
He made a mistake in his past. I'm not going to get in the topic of women beaters because I want to come back on the show. That's all I'm going to say. You guys can have your opinions, your thoughts. Think how you want. But I'm still going to go with Le'Veon Bell. I don't think it's as lopsided. But the guy finally got paid, and everyone knows he can produce. He comes in every year. He does it. With the Steelers' high-powered offense, he's going to have a good week.
Basically, what this boils down to is woman beater versus avid weed smoker. I always say that Le'Veon Bell, I mean, as talented as the guy is, Le'Veon Bell is always one day away from being thrown in jail. Because you never know with this guy. He's shown that he really does not care about football, honestly.
No, he's a drama queen.
He's maybe the biggest drama queen that doesn't wear a Dallas Cowboys jersey in all of football, and that's not named Odell Beckham.
Blonde, curly hair,
yes.
And plays wide receiver with a trash quarterback with the same name as the GOAT.
It's what amazes me is how good he is, and he doesn't really give a shit about football.
Not at all. It's like when he goes out on the field, he doesn't want to be there almost.
The guy's held out of training camp and the preseason the last 4 seasons.
It's like he only shows up to the class when it's mandatory.
Yeah, he's that guy that you see. Everybody knows this guy that doesn't show up to class one time, or if he does, he sleeps. He doesn't do any of his work. Shows up to the final and nails it, aces it. Le'Veon Bell is that guy.
We all wish we could be that guy.
We all wish we could be that guy. Le'Veon Bell is that guy.
We're shitting on him because we're Jones.
Yes, that's really what it is. Le'Veon Bell's a guy that shows up stoned to every class and then somehow finishes with a 4.0. So I'm taking Le'Veon Bell, if you couldn't tell. Next up, running back. We have a pretty interesting matchup for me. Isaiah Crowell, a New York Jet, against the Detroit Lions versus rookie Royce Freeman against that new Seattle Seahawks defense.
This is a weird one.
This is a very, very strange one.
I'm not sure how I feel about Isaiah Crowell either. He's a very mediocre player to me.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. He's all right. But I'm liking Royce Freeman this year. I really am. The Broncos just named him starting running back, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure today. And he was great on Oregon as well. I'm pretty sure he ended up becoming the all-time rusher when he was there. And I want to say he's top 10 all-time in rushing yards throughout someone's career. So, I mean, this is an older guy, fourth-year guy, went through 4 years at Oregon. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Paxton Lynch can do much. If we're talking about scrubs on your show, he is number 1 on my list.
Well, Paxton Lynch, apparently the Broncos thought so too. He got cut yesterday, Greg.
He got cut?
He's cut, yes. He's no more.
I'm gonna give it to Royce Freeman. I like Royce Freeman a lot.
I'm gonna go against you and go Crowell here. Unlike you, I'm a kind of a fan of Isaiah Crowell. He shows flashes of being a pretty good running back, but he's always been saddled with Duke Johnson Jr., who the Browns are really high on. I think for some reason he kind of sucks too, but they put him out there a lot. Now that the Crowell plays for the Jets, he's got that absolute dork Sam Darnold as his quarterback, being that successful.
I like Sam Darnold, actually.
Do you?
I think he's going to be the best out of all these rookie quarterbacks, unless...
That was blasphemous. I'm wearing a Baker Mayfield jersey right now.
Baker's not going to play much this year.
I'm wearing a Baker Mayfield jersey right now. You take that back.
You know I like Baker too, but I'm just being an honest analyst here. I don't want it. Like, it kind of pains me to say it, but I think he's going to ball out.
I don't like the guy. I think, he was just like, he turns the ball over like he's Eli Manning. I think he puts the ball on the ground every time there's pressure. I think he's horrible in my opinion. So I think Isaiah Crowell will have a decent year. Royce Freeman, I think he can be good. I talked about him a lot in the first episode. A lot of question marks for me with Royce Freeman, especially with that whole quarterback situation being completely up in the air now that Paxton Lynch is gone. Next matchup, we have Demaryius Thomas against the Seahawks versus Robert Woods against the Raiders. Yeah, this one bores me. I don't like this one.
I like Demaryius Thomas. I used to.
Yeah, I used to.
When Payne played with him, and he had a season or two where he played pretty well. I don't like Woods either as a player.
No, I don't care for him one bit.
I'm gonna go toss up here.
Toss up.
Yeah, I really can't give an edge to either one.
I'm going to give the edge to Robert Woods just because the only reason is because he has Jared Goff, and we don't know who Demaryius Thomas' quarterback is going to be. They might not throw the ball one time. Honestly, they may run the ball every play, which would be good for Royce Freeman. But when your options are Chad Kelly or Kevin Hogan, unless I could be wrong, they might have signed someone while filming this or right after something. But as of right now, their depth chart, I think, I'm going to look it up just to be sure.
No, I think they have, he played for the Vikings for a little. I'm trying to think of his name.
Oh, do they have Keenum?
Yeah, Keenum.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. Yeah, but still, I think I'll take Goff over Keenum every day, so Robert Woods for me.
All right.
Next up, pretty good one. DeAndre Hopkins versus the Patriots, matched up against AJ Green versus your Indianapolis Colts.
I've always been a big AJ Green fan, and I'm actually going to give the edge to him in this one as well. AJ Dalton looked the best I've ever seen him in the preseason, and people are even saying he had the best preseason out of anyone in the NFL, outside of McCaffrey, who also had a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
But the man looks good, and my bold prediction for the year, one of them, is that the Bengals are going to win a playoff game this year.
Wow, that is big.
And you're going to come back when they do it, and you're like, great. Remember that time before week 1 when you called this? And Marvin Lewis needs to be fired, but I think they're going to win one, and he's gonna hold his job for another year somehow. But AJ Green is I'm giving the edge to him.
Yeah, I'm going to give AJ Green the edge. Not a big fan of the guy. I think he's fell off since he was a superstar. But that Indianapolis Colts secondary is wet tissue levels of bad.
We don't need to hear about them.
They
I wasn't going to poop on my own team, but
I'd be happy to. They are dip a Kleenex in some water and try to hold it together. That is what the Indianapolis Colts secondary is going to be this year. So AJ Green for me. Next matchup, we've got Odell Beckham Jr. against Jalen Ramsey, and possibly the most interesting Week 1 matchup, going up against T.Y. Hilton against the Cincinnati Bengals.
I like Ramsey a lot.
Yeah, dude's stud.
T.Y. Hilton is a very underrated receiver by most people's standards. I actually think he's almost at the elite level. I think with Andrew Luck back this year, he'll kind of propel himself back up to that level and show people that he is one of the best smaller built wide receivers out there. But he can do it all, not just the deep ball either. And he's good with possession as well. And he is number one, so he's going to get a little more focus, but he's not getting Jalen Ramsey focus. And I think Eli Manning, this might be his final year, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Giants are going to be good at all, even after acquiring Saquon. I don't see things going right for them this year. So I'm going to give the edge to T.Y. Hilton.
I'm with you there. Jalen Ramsey's got that Muhammad Ali gene where he will just talk infinity amounts of shit to your face, and then he'll go in and back it up. So I think there's no easier target to talk to in all of football than Odell Beckham. I think Jalen Ramsey will be in his face mask from warm-ups. I think we'll have another Odell versus Josh Norman repeat of that situation, if you remember that.
For sure. That's what I was going to compare it to.
I think we'll get that again because I think Jalen Ramsey is just I think he's the best player on the field whenever he's out there. Maybe in a couple instances he's not, but the guy knows how to get in your head, and the amount of emotion that Beckham plays with, I think Jalen Ramsey will have a cakewalk of a day, frustrating Odell, and I think Odell will be mentally checked out by the third or fourth series of the game, the way he was against the Panthers.
And you remember back when Norman would get in his head, he wouldn't really perform either, and he would do ridiculous things on the field, hurting his own team and hurting him.
He goes after guys. He drops passes. You could tell when someone's in his head. He plays with so much emotion.
He's just because he's one of the best athletes in the NFL
by far. Yeah.
He just has that it factor when it comes to being an athlete. It's not like it's just his strength or his speed. He just really does have everything, catching ability. But I think one of the main reasons why I wouldn't consider him like an all-time great at the moment is just his attitude when he's out on the field against certain guys. He lets people get into his head too easily. Yeah,
that emotion that he plays with definitely is a double-edged sword. It definitely helps him a bunch, but when you put a guy across from him who's just as talented as he is and is just as emotional, I think Jalen Ramsey will play with Odell Beckham from the start, even from before the start, and I think T.Y. Hilton will edge him out in that game. Finally, last matchup of the day, we got Jordan Reed against the Arizona Cardinals versus Rob Gronkowski against the Houston Texans.
Big Gronk guy here, so I'm going to take Gronk. I don't think there's many people in the league that can guard him. Like you said earlier, they don't have Edelman, so they're going to be throwing to Gronk a little more during these first 4 games for sure. The Texans, they have an all-right linebacking core, I would say, but not too many guys that can really cover them. And the Pats really do like to get that linebacker versus Gronk matchup going, just because they know it works every time. And Jordan Reed just isn't the player that Gronk is. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah. To be honest, I was never really a big Gronk guy. I didn't really like him, but this all changed last season, which I don't know if you remember this game. You probably remember the game because of the way it ended against the Steelers. Obviously, the controversial ending with Jesse James. Did he score? Yeah. Did he not? But there was a play in that game where Rob Gronkowski completely mossed.
And then stood over him?
Yeah, the celebration that he did after that touchdown was one of the most savage things.
One of the most disrespectful moments of last year.
That was one of the most disrespectful things I've ever seen on a sports field, and that instantly made me a Gronk fan. I loved that play, loved everything about it. So I think I would have obviously gone Gronk either way. I hate Jordan Reed. I think he's all the talent, but guy can't stay on the field for a full season. But that play, I still laugh every time I think about that. What a just incredible play. That about wraps it up here, Gray. Have any last thoughts you wanna say before going?
Uh, I hope the Colts don't break my heart this year. I really hope they don't. They better make the playoffs. And like I said earlier, the Bengals are going to win a playoff game.
All right, you heard it here first. The Bengals will win a playoff game, according to football expert Grayson Sentell. Gray, it was great having you on the show. We'll have you back on for sure at some point this season.
I better be on again.
You definitely will. Take care. I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, peace, dude.
Peace.